Bosch performance line direct drive. And this is an urban commuter bike, and it's really well thought out. Lots of very thoughtful features on it. So for example, you can see we've got the built-in integrated fenders, front and rear. And you know, the great thing about this bike is assembling it. It comes almost fully assembled right out of the box. Really the only thing you had to put on was the pedals. The front wheel is on, the fenders are on, and the fenders being pre-installed is awesome because fenders can be a real pain to install sometime. And basically you just had to loosen off the handlebars here, turn them around, and the bike was ready to go. So that's a really nice feature. So being kind of an urban commuter bike, like I said, it's got the built-in fenders, but it also has this built-in rack rack. They even included the bungees here for transport. It's got the spring-loaded rack there. And basically any rack time accessory is going to fit on that bike. So well thought out, well put together. The lighting is integrated in the fender here, so you can see the LED light in the back, in the rear here, and also one in the front, and it's actually quite bright. Now, being a Bosch direct drive, it's got the Intuvia display here, and so that means you can actually control the lights from the Intuvia display, which is really cool. So if I just press the light button here, you can see it tells me that the lights are on, and now I've got the front and the rear activated. And the rear light is actually quite bright even in daylight, so that's really nice. The other thing I like about having the lighting integrated like that is I don't have to worry about turning it on and off separately. When I turn the bike off or after a period of not riding, the bike will automatically time out and turn it off, so I don't have to worry about killing the battery or leaving the lights on. So we'll just give you a quick overview here. As you can see, it's a step-through frame, and they've integrated the battery into the seat tube here, which is actually really quite clever. The locking mechanism here, it's ABUS lock, and in fact the key is the same key as they use in the ABUS Protectic lock here. So this is actually quite handy. And of course this, if you're not familiar with the style of lock, does have a lock that comes through here through the wheel, but you'd probably want to also get the cable lock that isn't included but is optional ABUS lock that actually can lock into here. So again, it uses the same key, and then you can lock that to something solid. So it's a nice comfy seat on the top here. It's pretty cushy, nice for an urban bike. And the battery here, you can, like I said, with the key, remove it, or you can charge it on the bike. There's a little flap here that's well sealed to keep water out for charging it while it's on the bike. Again, being the commuter urban bike, it's got a built-in chain guard, which is a nice feature. And in North America, although the Scott website says that it's the active line, they actually included the performance line, which is great because that gives you a lot more torque and a lot more assist if you're doing hills. We've got the Shimano Dior. It's 10 speed on the back here, and actually, you know, they've really put a lot of nice components on this. The tires are the Continental E-Contact with the Safety Plus. So these are e-bike rated tires. They've made them very strong, puncture resistant, and they should handle very, very well and be quite resistant to thorns and that sort of thing. The front fork here, we've got a Sun Tour NEX, and it does have a lockout here on the top, which is pretty easy to operate. And the geometry of the bike, being a step-through frame, it's actually really comfortable. I was really surprised riding this. They've just put a lot of thought into the details, like the grips here are nice. Got a little bit of a flare there to make them really comfortable riding. The cockpit is set up quite well. Of course, it being a Bosch direct drive, it's got the Intuvia display, and that gives you an assortment of features. Your battery indicator at the top there, your current speed, the current level of assist, so Eco, Tour, Sport, or Turbo. And then if you cycle through either using the plus and minus or the I button, sorry, the plus or minus changes the level. The I button here, you can also use the I button here to change on the bike computer things like the average speed, the total trip time, and that's the time that the bike has been moving for, which is an interesting measurement to have. Your estimated range, so right now, based on the eco mode, I can go almost 100 kilometers. And the awesome thing that I really like about Bosch, that really sets it apart from any other e-bikes that I've ridden, and I've ridden quite a few, is that this range indicator is actually quite accurate. It's continuously adjusting, and so it's nice because I know if I'm going up a hill, most of the other e-bikes that I've ridden, once you start draining the battery like that, your battery indicator can go from full to half, and then you get to the top of the hill and it's full again, and you're wondering, okay, how much is actually left? And the Bosch doesn't do that. It actually is very accurate, and this range indicator is usually a really good indicator of how much distance you've got left on the current level. Now, of course, as I move up, say to Tour, then that's going to drop my range quite a bit, and up to Turbo, of course, is going to drop it even further. But in that eco range, you are getting close to 100 kilometers. And depending on your terrain and your riding style, you can actually get 150, 160 kilometers on that. So that's pretty awesome. This 98 estimate is based on the last ride I did, which actually did involve some fairly significant hills here in Ladysmith, and so that's why it's giving an estimated range of only 100 kilometers. It also gives you the odometer and the trip distance, and all of those can be reset just by holding the reset button here. The max speed is reset independently, so if you go back to the max speed, then you can reset that as well. And of course, you also have the clock, which is a handy feature to have. There we go. So all in all, a really nice, nicely put together bike. A lot of really good features. Of course, you've got the Shimano hydraulic disc brakes, which is nice to have on an e-bike, or if you are living anywhere like with the hills like we have here. And it even comes with the kickstand here, which is nice. You don't have to add that. It's integrated in there. And the pedals actually are nice, quite comfortable pedals, although of course you could replace those if you wanted to. So let me just take it for a quick little ride here to demonstrate how rideable it is. Okay, here we go. So the awesome thing about the Bosch direct drive motor is that it really is just like riding a bike. The power it puts out is in proportion to the power you're putting in. So unlike a lot of e-bikes that have magnet sensors, or even magnet sensors, on the crank, or even some inexpensive torque sensors, this has quite a few sensors that continuously measures how much effort you're putting into what the type of terrain is, and then can respond accordingly. So if you are, pedaling really hard, then you can see the little indicator there is going up, and the motor's helping me more. If I'm pedaling less or braking, then it's only going to help me out a little bit. So it's really nice because you're not having to worry about that sudden surge of power that can often happen. I like to tell the story of riding an e-bike in Germany, needing to take a corner up a hill onto a bridge, and nearly ending up in the river because that power, you're coasting a little bit, and then you need a little bit of power to get up that ridge, but you don't want too much. And as soon as you turn the cranks on a traditional e-bike, that surge of power comes in, and it's not expected. With the Bosch, you're not going to get that. You're going to get the exact amount of power that you need. It's really quite clever that way. So this rides really nicely. It's a nice frame geometry. It's a nice setup, really comfortable for riding, very quiet. And it also has shift detection technology, so you're not going to be grinding the gears when you're shifting, which again is a really nice feature to have. You're not having to worry about that. You just ride. You really don't have to think about it being an e-bike or riding it any differently. Now, of course, being an urban commuter biker, light gravel trails are going to be fine. You're not going to want to go mountain biking with this, although you do have the Sun Tour suspension fork, which is a nice feature. So if you're hitting potholes or curbs, it just glides right over it. You'll also notice that there's no sound coming from the rack or the fenders, and that's a big deal because a lot of bikes, you hit a bump and the fenders go clanging, and it gets annoying after a while. But this is a nice, quiet bike, easy ride.